When's the last time you drank anything close to a straight whiskey? Let me ask you that.
Well, honestly,
Yeah.
5 minutes ago.
before I said, hey, try this.
I'm trying to think if we drank anything at the beach. Yeah, I think I tried something at the beach, but I don't remember what it was. Well,
try Zach. He likes a lot of straight whiskey.
It might have been, yeah. But before that, it's been a long time. I don't really like whiskey.
Yeah, at all.
No.
That's why you're here.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So, welcome to today's episode of Whiskey Noobs Podcast. Today with me, I have Bryce.
Whew, how you doing, guys?
He is a whiskey expert.
Not much.
Not at all. No. Just like Justin. Same thing. We're going to be trying to trick today, so I needed to be somebody who doesn't drink whiskey.
We're trying to get scientific.
We're going to get scientific. I've already blown his mind a little bit with some of the tricks. So, yeah, I already mentioned you have, no experience drinking whiskey.
Not at all.
What's your deal? What's your one sentence to introduce yourself to people? You fix cars.
I fix cars.
That's about
Kinda. I like to look stuff up on YouTube and then, just guess.
Professional.
Right. Professionally.
Professional guesser.
Professional guesser.
YouTube.
Exactly.
Tutorial car fixer. Okay. So Bryce is similar to Justin. He's brand new to it, which is why I'm having him on today. The idea is we're going to try another whiskey trick, which I mentioned in the last episode, which is trying two whiskeys side by side. So I gave Bryce a little taste before we started to make sure he was going to be able to drink it, and he was, which is good. But I mentioned in the episode about how to properly taste whiskey, I mentioned you can try two super different whiskeys when you're brand new, and make sure they're super different. That way you can pull totally different flavors out of them. So that's what we're going to do today, because the idea is that when you're new to whiskey, what's whiskey taste like to you? Let me ask you that.
It's just really hot water.
It tastes like you drinking water, then it burns. Really
Absolutely.
Bad. Yeah.
It's like, it makes me real hot, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
I get a similar feeling with wine. But I kind of like the taste of wine a little bit.
But wine sneaks up.
Yeah,
on
but
you.
I like wine that tastes like grape juice, not dry wine.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So the idea is to have whiskey not taste like hot water anymore. All whiskey just tastes like whiskey when you haven't been drinking whiskey for a while. So if you try two super different whiskeys, then they don't taste the same. I did the same trick with cigars, actually, when I was learning to smoke cigars. Same idea. So today we have two super different whiskeys. If you're on the email list, you already know this, but today we're drinking Tullamore Dew and Russell's Reserve 10-year bourbon. So I'm going to show both of those. So Tullamore Dew is an Irish whiskey. It's kind of just your base Irish whiskey. It's actually a blend of three different whiskeys. Low price point, which is on purpose. It's very approachable because it's only 40% alcohol. Oh, I don't know how much of a gauge you have for that, but it's 80 proof, which is the minimum for like a bourbon or for a lot of whiskeys. So, so Tullamore Dew, super approachable, aged in bourbon and sherry barrels. Oh, so it gives you some different flavors, which you can't do with bourbon. So bourbon, always aged in a brand new charred oak barrel. Oh, charred oak. Yep.
I'm gonna be hunting for flavors.
Yeah, you gotta taste out that charcoal.
I'm gonna be tasting stuff that's not even there.
That's what Justin kept saying too, because bourbon, when you're not a bourbon drinker, all you pretty much taste is oak sometimes, and that's what Justin's like. I just keep wanting to say oak. Is that wrong? I'm like, it's not wrong. I mean, if that's what you're tasting. So the other one is a bourbon, which is Russell's Reserve 10-year bourbon. It's actually made by the same folks who make Wild Turkey, which is interesting. I didn't know that at first, but I actually really like it. It's aged 10 years, and it's 90 proof, so it's up a little bit of a notch from stronger. The Tullamore. Yeah, it's 10 more proof, 5% more alcohol.
I don't like whiskey, so the less I have to drink to feel the effects, the better.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It gets you there quicker.
Exactly.
That's not the goal.
Cheap date. Well, at the starting of the podcast, I'm a cheap date.
Okay, yeah.
I might become experienced after this.
You might be. You're probably going to be like, you got anything more expensive? So yeah, in case anybody doesn't know, there are I keep saying three main types. There are a lot of different types of whiskey, but the three most common that I see are your bourbons or American whiskeys, which bourbon is a subtype of American whiskey, your Irish whiskeys, and your Scotch. And so today we're doing Irish and bourbon because they're two different categories. They give you two totally different flavors. These two whiskeys, having drank both of them, give you two totally different palates.
Now, let me ask you this question.
Yes.
Do these glasses do anything for us?
Yes, they do. Justin asked the same question. Yeah, so these glasses, and there will be a whole episode about Glencairns versus a rocks glass. These are called Glencairns. And the shape of them, it's called a tulip shape. They're wide at the bottom, small at the top. The reasoning for that is that all those fumes at the bottom get kind of condensed up to the top, and you can smell more flavors without having to get so close to it that it burns your nose.
That makes sense.
So that's the idea. So you can kind of get slightly far away from it, and you can still taste, or you can still smell it.
Yeah, right about there.
Yeah. So, I should mention, if you want to see what these whiskeys look like, if you're listening right now, I just held up both bottles. You'll be able to see that on the Instagram page, whiskey_noobs. I just want to throw that out there. But let's start with the Tullamore, since it's lower percentage. That way it's a little bit more approachable. So, first, give it a little bit of a whiff. Just give it a little sniff. Yeah, stay far enough away that it's not burning. The best place to be is to get right to where it burns and then back up just a touch. That's the best place to be.
I mean, it smells like whiskey.
Yeah. I find that most people who don't even like whiskey think that whiskey smells good.
Yeah.
If they really take a second to really smell it.
Yeah. I think I just have that bias in my head that it's just hot water.
That it's just going to burn when you drink it.
So, maybe if I like the flavor, the smell will come with it.
If you like the smell, you can look for that smell in the flavor.
Oh.
And then you'll avoid the hotness.
See, I'm used to taking shots that I don't like with my nose shut.
It's also how you taste whiskey. No. Okay, so you got a good smell of it.
Yep.
That's called the nose. Now the palate. So now take a quick sip, and I told you this before. It helps. Take a quick sip and let it burn, and then take another sip after the burn's over. Right. So first impressions. What do you taste in the first sip? Anything?
It's good. It's not as hot as I thought. I can't really describe the flavor necessarily.
And probably you won't on your first sip, especially since you're newer to drinking it.
Yeah. It's just got... It just tastes a lot like whiskey.
Okay.
But, I mean... I feel like it's more of the aftertaste to where you're actually going to like... You know what I mean? Like...
Yeah.
But I also didn't hold it on my tongue very long, so that could help.
But that's called the finish. That's a big part of tasting whiskey, is the aftertaste.
Yeah.
So... Let's give it one more sip now that your tongue is
we're gonna hold
acclimated,
it
and we're going to hold it on the tongue. Yep. Anything new? No? That's okay.
It was definitely a stronger flavor. I'm having trouble pinning down what the flavor is. I don't know how to describe it.
Which is good, because that's why we have a second whiskey here, right?
It's hard. Yeah, maybe that will be my perspective. Because I lack perspective. I don't know what whiskey tastes like.
If you don't drink it often, then every whiskey you drink tastes like whiskey. It's like
my experience of whiskey is like Jack Fire and Fireball. If that's even whiskey. I think Jack Fire is definitely whiskey.
It is.
But, I mean, that's my experience, which also just tastes like cinnamon.
Yeah,
you know?
It's just flavor.
But this doesn't taste like cinnamon.
Right.
So it's very different from Jack Fire, other than the hot waterness.
I can see why you associate it with hot water if you're just drinking Fireball and Jack Fire.
I don't just drink. That's just the only one I really, stands out.
Right.
I've had, shots of Jameson. Right?
Okay, yeah.
But, it's a shot, so I'm not,
You're not tasting it.
Yeah, it's not.
The goal is to not taste it.
It's more of a get her done
and
kind
drink
of thing.
some pickle juice and get rid of all of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A pickleback.
A pickleback, if you will. Okay. All right, cool. So... That was the Irish whiskey, which right now just kind of tastes like whiskey, and that's okay.
Yep.
So then we're going to move over to the Russells, and we're going to kind of do it not side by side for right now. So, I don't want you to smell that and then smell the other. First, we're going to drink the Tullamore, take a break, drink the Russells, right?
Okay.
And then we'll do a full review. We'll do a side by side afterward. But for now, we kind of got the smell and the taste of the Tullamore out of our mouth.
It's not staying on my tongue.
Yeah.
Which is new to me.
Okay. Yeah. It's not burning. Probably didn't burn as much.
But maybe I'm in the right mindset to where it's
True.
I'm actually trying to taste it and not just doing it because I want to be intoxicated.
The more you're trying to avoid the taste, like with a shot, the more that it ends up smacking.
Exactly.
And you're like, oh, this burns so much.
Right.
Yep. Okay, so the Russells now. So go ahead and take a smell first.
This one definitely smells stronger.
Yeah. For sure.
But it's more fruity, I would say.
Okay. Wow.
I don't know how to describe. I wouldn't say. It's not like a citrus necessarily.
Right.
I don't know how to describe.
Okay, we'll get there.
But we'll try.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's take a sip.
Wait, are we doing a quick sip?
Yeah. Go ahead since you haven't had anything.
Oh, that one's much different. Wow.
Right. So now
way different.
Now it's like way
Very
different.
smoky.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Very,
Bourbon.
very smoky.
Yep. Okay. Let's do another sip now.
Okay.
Totally different.
Very different.
Totally different experience.
Very smoky.
Okay.
But not in a... It's not like a strong flavor of wood, necessarily.
Right.
It's kind of rich.
Yeah.
in a way.
Kind of like if you're next to a fire that's not lit anymore.
Yes.
That scent. Yeah.
Definitely smoky. I don't get as much as the fruit as I thought I was going to. But
Yeah.
then again, I mean, like I said, I couldn't really pin down what the fruit was. It
Right.
just smelled fruitier.
Right. Okay. All right. So now, in order to really get the full experience, let's go side by side with this just smelling real quick.
Okay.
So let's smell one, smell the other.
Oh, much different.
Yeah, totally different experience. So can you pull anything on the Tullamore yet? Which is probably the harder one to
try
pull
it one more.
flavors from.
It's much more mild.
Yep, way more so.
It smells sweeter. Almost like maybe a butterscotch kind of smell.
Okay, that's accurate.
And now that it's much more it's much sweeter.
Yeah.
Definitely sweeter.
Like this is like the way I see it, and I could be different from you, is I see the Tullamore as more of a bakery type sweet.
Yeah.
Whereas the Russells or most bourbons are more of
Like a candy.
Yeah.
Sugary.
Yeah. So it's funny that you
And
say that.
what wood is this? Because this maybe that's why it smells fruity. It might be like you said with the barrels. Maybe that's like a fruit wood as opposed to like a hardwood.
No, so it will be charred oak with bourbon.
Okay, so I got them backwards.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, usually it depends on the drink, because like some of them with wine, like wine barrels, you'll get that. Like you'll be like, oh, that's in a wine barrel. The Tullamore, I don't get a lot of that. It's actually when I was doing the research on it, I was a little surprised by the sherry.
Yeah.
Because I actually have written down here, which is funny that you say butterscotch, because I mostly get vanilla, butter, and toffee are the three that it's like Tullamore Dew to me.
Definitely.
And it's not super different, which you mentioned how the Russells, the nose and then the palate were two different experiences.
Oh, yeah.
The Tullamore I find is usually the same. It's like...
Yeah. It's very mild compared, you know.
So, okay, so let's go back to the Russells now. Okay. So, what would you pull out of the Russells? You said so it's like smoky, like a charred oak.
Yeah,
that
definitely. It doesn't smell as smoky as it tastes. It tastes a lot more smoky than it smells. Oh, okay. It smells way more fruity than it tastes.
Okay, yeah. I can see that.
Like I said, I can't really pin down what the fruity smell is, though. That's where I'm like, I'm at a crossroads, because I don't want to say it's citrus, but also it's like,
Yeah. Usually, a common one with a lot of bourbons are like a dark fruit. So like your cherries are like plums.
That could,
maybe like a plum or an apricot with this specifically.
Apricot, that could be.
Yeah, it might be.
I would say that would be like the closest thing I could think of.
Probably, yeah, off the top of my head, and and then with the Russells, I do get some cooking spices, but not as much as most other bourbons. Yeah, so now think about like your cinnamon, your nutmeg, your clove. Not a lot of clove from Russells, but a lot of scotches I taste a lot of clove from. All right, so now let's do the side-by-side taste, which is kind of the moment we've all been waiting for.
So is this the one that we like more?
What's that?
Are we saying which one we like more? Or are we saving that for a different...
You can do very last. We'll do that last. Right. Yeah. So now we're going to just taste one, taste the other, and see if we see what's so different about them, right? So
what are we going first?
Tullamore first, because because we don't want the Russells to burn out our palate. So now you got those toffees and those vanillas.
Very much so.
Yep. And now
much sweeter than the first time.
Right. So now let's go straight to the Russells, which is going to taste less sweet now. A lot bolder.
Definitely.
It's almost like when you've got like a honey barbecue, and then the Russells taste like barbecue.
Yes.
You know? That's the difference.
This is like McDonald's barbecue sauce versus like, some homemade hickory smoked.
Yeah.
Real thick,
You like your barbecues.
Exactly.
I mentioned that.
Yeah. That one is much more mild.
The Tullamore.
Yeah, much more mild and definitely sweeter. Way sweeter.
Yep.
And this one, I mean, it sounds cliche, but it is very earthy, which I think is probably from the oak. You know what I mean?
Right. I got you.
It almost has like a herb
Okay.
kind of
I get what you're
it.
saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Almost.
But I mean, like that's mainly I would say compared to that because that's much sweeter.
Right.
Definitely the vanilla. Now that you say that.
Yeah. And it's like I think it's like they both have aspects of vanilla in them.
Yeah.
But I think the Tullamore, it's the vanilla with the buttery flavor that makes it a smooth sweetness.
Yeah, definitely.
Not smooth
it's
in
not
terms of a
overpowering.
smooth whiskey, but smooth sweetness.
Yeah.
It's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
Whereas with the Russells, you've got almost a vanilla, but it's more of a vanilla now with spices behind it.
Yes.
And like peppery almost, and maybe a little cinnamon.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's interesting. So I feel like I know what the answer is going to be, but which of the two is your favorite?
So I would say it kind of depends on the situation because the Tullamore is way easier to drink, right? Like I could drink that with a dinner, right? But I would say this one, if I was actually like tasting them for flavor, this one has much more depth compared to that one.
Yeah,
you know, I would say like it would be, you know, like I said, like it'd be like this is the grapefruit wine, and this is like some real aged dry wine that's
Cabernet,
expensive,
yeah.
right? Like this is expensive. This is a tasting wine. This is a dinner wine.
Okay,
that's kind of how I feel.
And
about
the Russells is a bit more expensive.
Yeah.
At least where we're at, I think it's $10 or $15 more expensive than the Tullamore. So it is. It's definitely got more of a complex thing going on. I can see the Russells, especially because it's got so much of a punch that I could see it being with like a dark cigar. Like I could see it going really well with that. Whereas the Tullamore, it's like you said, it's not going to overpower your dinner if you're drinking it with like dinner.
Yeah.
With a really light cigar, I would do it. But other than that, I probably wouldn't pair this with a cigar because of how light it is.
Yeah,
it's going to get
mild.
overpowered
Very
immediately.
mild. Yeah, like this is you eat this with a steak, you eat this with chicken.
Yeah, that's clever. Or you eat the Russells with chicken wings with barbecue. Okay, so we're going to do a full review of both of them. But I want to give you something to think about before the review. I thought about this. I'm like, man, so whiskey is for thinking, right? That's the whole point of whiskey, is to sit down and think. Mm-hmm. So we're going to think about a riddle while we review the whiskey. So like we're going to think about the riddle, review the whiskey, then talk about the riddle at the end of reviewing.
Not very good with riddles, but we'll go for it.
All right, good. I saved you one of my favorites. This is one of my favorite riddles. I make sure I didn't put the answer next to it. That way you can't look over and see it.
I would have looked.
Here's my riddle. A woman goes to her mother's funeral and meets the love of her life, right? Never met this guy before. I want to preface with that because a lot of people guess that it's somebody that she knows, and it's not. They forget to exchange information, and they can't find each other afterward. So she meets the love of her life, can't find him afterward. A week later, that girl's sister dies. How does she die?
Okay, hold on. Can you repeat?
Have a sip. Think on it. So, a woman goes to her mother's funeral, meets the love of her life. They forget to exchange information, doesn't see him ever again. A week later, her sister dies. How did she die? All right, I can tell I got your gears turning, so you're going to think on it. I'm going to have you think on that riddle, and now we're going to review the whiskeys. I'm going to leave you thinking. And we're gonna come back.
This is going to be so stupid.
Oh, yeah. It's actually a pretty good one. This is one of my favorites, so that's why it was my first one.
One more time.
Okay.
Let me think about this one more time.
A woman goes to her mother's funeral, meets the love of her life. They forget to exchange information. Can't find him afterwards. A week later, her sister dies. How did she die? While we're thinking on that, take another sip of the Tullamore, since you like that one. One thing I will say, I don't typically get any amount of citrus from Tullamore, but having drank the Russells and then sat here for a few minutes and then drank the Tullamore, randomly on that last sip, I got like a citrusy taste, which was weird. I've never gotten that from Tullamore before.
I'm still stumped on the riddle.
That was pretty cool. I'm blowing.
I can't even focus.
I'm blowing your mind right now.
I feel like I definitely. Are we doing these one at a time?
Yes.
Okay. So I should not drink the Russells.
You can do whichever one you want, and I'll follow suit. Okay.
Actually, no. I should do the Russells first, because then it'll give me an appreciation for this one.
Okay, yeah.
And maybe I'll pull some flavors out of it.
So we're going to do the full 3-part review, nose, palate, aftertaste, or finish. So, on the nose, I get more vanilla on the nose than I do in the taste, but definitely those fruits, like you were saying.
For sure. Definitely vanilla and a fruit, which we think is maybe
apricot.
Maybe apricot. It definitely has a hint of that.
I don't even like apricots. Like, I don't eat them, but I think that's what I'm smelling.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't know super well.
It's almost like raisin.
I'm thinking like a dried, I can see that.
Like almost like a raisiny smell. Yeah. That's a real word, but
raisiny. It's close enough.
Close enough. It works. We're drinking whiskey.
And then one thing I get on the palate that we didn't mention, as opposed to the nose. Yeah, not really on the nose, but I get like a caramely taste on the palate itself. Now that you're looking for it, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then it's almost got an oily finish. It almost leaves that oily feeling in your mouth.
Yeah. Which isn't bad.
No, I like that.
Wet your whistle after hot water.
After a nice gulp of hot water. Maybe that's just what I'm going to call it on the show from now on.
Hot water.
The Hot Water Podcast. You know what? Maybe that's going to be the indicator of a good whiskey. It got upgraded to, like, not hot water.
Not hot water. I don't think either of these are hot water now.
No, these are good, right?
I've gained perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, get us some Jack Fire up here. That's some hot water.
I can't say I have any of that.
That could be the intro picture. It's just a bottle of Jack Fire that says hot water.
Is this what all whiskey tastes like to you?
Hot water. Definitely the caramely finish.
Yeah,
I mean, big time. I mean, I didn't notice that at all until you said that. Wow.
And now it's like, it's there now that you're looking for it.
Yeah. Big time.
So I would say for me, the 3 phases is I get a lot of vanilla and fruit.
Yep.
And then caramel and still a little bit of the fruit on the palate, but the spices come up on your tongue. Definitely.
And a real smoky finish.
Right. You got that.
But not in an overpowering smoke way. It's more of like a earthy finish.
Exactly.
You know.
Like if you were to put this next to like an Islay Scotch, which I know you haven't had, but that is like incredibly smoky. Yeah. It's not going to be like that. This is like you said, like that earthy smoky, like walking into a wood shop or something.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's just you can taste the oak.
Yes.
If that's cliche.
No, you're right. Absolutely.
It's just the truth.
Whatever.
Yeah, I don't care. It's just the truth.
You're right. You got it. So
the truth hurts.
So caramel and oak.
Caramel and oak
on the
for
palate. Sure. A little bit of the spices coming through. And then on the finish, everything else kind of melts away, and I got the woodiness and a little caramel.
Yeah, and like you said, my mouth isn't like dry, which I like. That's nice, because, like,
some whiskeys, it's like you got a cotton ball in your mouth.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't like that. And that's the other reason I don't really drink a whole lot of liquor, because, like, if you wake up after drinking liquor, it's like you're in the Sahara Desert. Like, I mean, it feels like, you haven't drank water in 6 weeks.
Like you just slept with a cotton ball in your mouth.
It's rough. So I like that I don't feel like that, you know?
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. This does have that oily mouthfeel is what a lot of people call it on the finish. It leaves almost like a sheen that feels oily on your tongue. All right.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Let's move on to the Tullamore.
It's much better than I thought it would be.
See?
Much better.
Walking in, did you think you'd be able to drink something 90 proof and straight and like it?
Not at all.
Yeah.
It was mainly the science. We got real scientific before the podcast started.
Scientifical.
And now everything makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like I got the questions of the universe answered.
So now the Tullamore. So yeah, off the bat.
It's just so much more mild.
And almost... Okay, this is going to be a weird one. Now, you got your normal stuff, obviously.
Let me...
But if you just sniff it super quickly in passing, super quick, just... Because of the sweetness...
It doesn't even smell like whiskey. It's like...
I get teriyaki. I'm not even going to lie. It smells like teriyaki if you just pass your nose by it. Really quick.
You're not crazy.
It doesn't taste like it at all, but the smell
You're not crazy.
I took a
See,
sniff.
this is one of those things where I feel like, have you ever sat out in the woods and it starts to get dark and you just start to see stuff?
I'm looking for it so hard.
There are phantom flavors coming from every angle.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You want to see it so badly that you're...
No, we got Asian dishes. Is it wasabi?
That's what I'm getting is the teriyaki. Like,
Man,
on the
I feel
stove.
like it's wasabi.
If you've been to wasabi, that's the burn probably.
Yeah, maybe.
Wasabi water.
Yeah, no, wasabi is just hot paste.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's just hot
It
toothpaste.
just tastes like spicy.
Yeah. Like, I feel like I could brush my teeth with wasabi.
Oh, for sure. It would be the most painful toothbrush ever. Dude, if you do
Very
it quickly...
well. It's nutty,
Yeah,
too.
okay.
I'm getting a nutty thing.
That's kind of in the toffee. It's
Like a roasted walnut.
Okay. You're getting in depth. I like it. No.
I don't know if it's the phantom flavors or if it's
There
real.
are no wrong answers. It's based
lot
so
of
much
depth.
on what you've eaten today, what smells
Yeah.
you're used to smelling,
Yeah.
what you smell a lot. I mean, you smell grease
lot of
a lot
exhaust
when you're
fumes.
doing your
Yeah.
when you're doing your YouTube tutorial.
Yeah.
Can we fix it video?
How to change oil.
Yeah. I can't even believe the teriyaki that I said. But not when you like really intently smell it. That's like if it passes by your nose super quick. But I should.
I think you got me. I think you really got me talked into that. I don't know.
I like to think I'm selling you on it.
You're definitely selling me on it.
Okay, but the prominent notes are definitely just that buttery toffee, like a nutty toffee.
Definitely.
But yeah, like just
very nutty and sweet.
like a Heath
Yeah.
bar type
Yes.
toffee. Yeah, for sure. So then on the palate, more of the same for the most part. Definitely nothing like teriyaki.
No.
I think it's less
It lacks the depth of the other one.
for sure. It
On the
definitely
taste.
does. And that's actually part of having a stronger whiskey is they typically have more complex flavors.
Yeah.
So this is basically just more watered down.
Yeah.
So
This is Dr. Pepper. This is hot water.
hot water. This is like a lukewarm water though.
Yeah. It's not bad at all by any means. It just lacks the depth. But like I said, if I was to sit down and have this first and only this, I mean, it would probably be much more strong and it would be much more flavorful. I think this one is just kind of like you're gaining perspective, right? Because
Exactly.
like I say this to my girlfriend all the time. I make very good steaks, and she didn't eat red meat before we met, right? So
I see where this is going.
I've made her quite a few steaks, and they're very good. Like, very good on my standard. And she's like, she'll eat it, and she'll be like, oh, it's pretty good. And I'm like, really?
Okay.
I'm like, well, we should go to Applebee's, so you know what a bad steak tastes like. Like, you need perspective. If you don't know what a bad steak tastes like, you can't appreciate a good one.
That is awesome.
So, like, it's just, I feel like that's...
Applebee's specifically.
Yeah, Applebee's. I mean, first of all, Applebee's, trash.
Yeah.
And second of all, I mean, I only know one person that goes to Applebee's and gets a steak. We both know her.
I know.
It's
Yeah,
disgusting. I hope she
yeah.
hears this.
Wow.
But I feel like this, the one on the, what's it called?
Russell's.
Russell's has given me the perspective to where this one now lacks depth.
Now it's Applebee's.
It's Applebee's.
It's like it tastes good if you're not trying to taste it.
Correct. Like, this is a prime grade ribeye, and this is a sirloin from Applebee's.
Okay. That's
But I shouldn't. It's not bad.
It's good.
It's not
though.
bad.
Right. And
It's not actually like bad. It's not terrible. Like, Jack Fire would be Applebee's sirloin.
right.
Like, that's just, it's nobody wants it.
And this is your lower shelf whiskey, so it's way less complex. Russell's is like right in the middle.
Yeah.
So a little bit more expensive than like your Jack Daniels, but the Tullamore it's less expensive.
Yeah.
And around us it's like $20.
But
So-
with that being said, though, I feel like I would have a hard time drinking a full glass of Russell's
Oh, okay, yeah,
because it's so strong.
right,
Like I said, it's for me it would be more of a
Right.
tasting experience than an actual sit down. I don't know that I would necessarily order a Russell's.
like after a while it's gonna wear on you.
Right.
Yep, I gotcha.
I feel that way about Chinese food. Chinese food has a lot of strong flavors.
Yeah.
And I can only eat so much Chinese food, and then it gets overpowering.
I only eat Chinese every once in a while for that same reason.
Yeah,
It's
like you can't eat a full meal of Chinese.
but when you do, it's like really good.
Right, like
It's
orange chicken's good for like 7 bites. On the 8th, you're kind of like,
Oh my gosh, that's accurate. Yeah,
time for the takeout.
I want Panda now. Some Panda Express. Okay. Did we even go through the palette of this yet? We did, yes.
What is
So
it?
it got more of the same basically on the palate.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the finish real quick. More of the same.
Yeah.
Maybe less of the nuttiness, like the toffees, like the dark flavors we were talking about.
It's not. It doesn't really have as strong of a finish.
And surprisingly enough, because it's weaker,
it goes away much quicker though.
That's just gonna say,
but
it's
not in a bad
weaker
way.
than the Russells, but it dries out your mouth more and the flavor goes away quicker.
Big time.
I think the Russells
Definitely
lingers.
the dryness.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the oily finish of the Russells now after having that.
Now that you've had it,
it's
it's
the
like,
perspective.
Oh,
yeah.
Yep. I know what you mean.
We should have got like some Orloff. Just the cheapest vodka we could find.
Gas station vodka. Yeah. Get some Mad Dog.
Yeah. So I'm wondering so do you drink like Jack Daniels?
I have. I mean,
so
I
like,
will.
what's your opinion on that? Is it trash?
It's hilarious that you asked that. Justin asked me the same question. I think it is overrated, but it is accurately rated for what it's typically used for. So it's mixed a lot.
Right.
Makes a good mixer. On the rocks, not bad. Straight, not bad, but it's also not amazing. You know, I think it's one of those things like Applebee's where you hear about a lot of people going there just
and you
because
don't know
it's
why.
a staple.
Exactly.
Just because you know you're gonna go there and it's not gonna be horrible.
I got it. It's cheap and convenient.
Convenient, yes.
Applebee's it's in everybody's neighborhood.
Right, and
It's
with
a neighborhood grill.
Is that when you're here, your family? No, is that Olive Garden? Who are your family when you're there?
I don't know. But Olive Garden is also trash. If anybody's listening, Olive Garden is just reheated microwaved pasta.
I think you've irritated a lot of people.
You know what? I hope I did. The only thing in Olive Garden worth eating is the breadsticks and the salad.
I will say I like Olive Garden.
You know what? I don't respect your palate. So what is it like to drink this like on ice, on the rocks, essentially? Because that I feel like would be different.
It's totally different. So on the rocks, you're gonna dilute it for sure a little bit because there's gonna be more water in it. But actually, it being cold, people will say you should drink it on the rocks. It makes it smoother, quote unquote smoother. It's actually killing some of the flavor.
Oh yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
like taking whiskey, like a specific whiskey, and putting it on the rocks is kind of the same analogy to going from the Russells to the Tullamore. It's easier to drink, but now it's got way less complexity.
Gotcha.
At least in my opinion. There are some people who that's all they do, and that's totally cool.
Yeah, I might prefer that, like, if I was to go out and order.
Because then it's easier. You're not
Right.
thinking about it as much.
Yeah.
Right. And that totally...
You know, like, it's one of those things, like, I don't necessarily not like the flavor of some hot sauce, but some of it's just too hot to eat a lot of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just miserable.
Yeah.
And that's the way I feel about some of the stronger. Like, you know, like this Russell's being so much stronger.
Right.
Like, I feel like to drink a lot of it would be almost, not miserable, but not as easy. Like, it would be like too much hot sauce.
After a while, it'd be kind of an ordeal.
Oh, yeah,
It'd be
overpowering and, you know.
Yep.
So, like, I guess if you take that into consideration, I mean.
Depends on what you're looking for.
Right.
Yeah.
Situational.
Like I said, too, like if you're having if you just had a really big meal, maybe the Russells. If you're having a strong cigar, something like that. If you're in the mood for something lighter, which I'll drink like something weaker, like a Tullamore when it's in passing. It's like I'm just drinking it and other things are going on. Absolutely. So yeah, well, now that we did that, we did the full walkthrough. What's your overall opinion come out to on both of them?
I mean, like I said, I do prefer the Russells in a tasting setting.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I would order go out and order Russells.
Right.
However you order whiskey, because I have no idea.
Yeah, like a neat Russell.
Yeah, like I'm not going to go get a neat Russell. I mean, maybe. I do like whiskey, but I don't know that I would order it just as a regular drink.
Right.
So, with that being said, I do like the Russells as an experience.
Okay.
Now, the Tullamore I feel like, would be much easier to drink in a large quantity. So, like, I mean, if I'm at the grocery store, like, not the liquor store, right, and these two are right next to each other, I probably would get the Tullamore.
Okay.
But I do prefer the flavor of the Russells.
Oh, okay, I got you.
But, like,
because you see yourself drinking the Tullamore more often.
Right.
Okay, I got you.
And also, I'm cheap, so.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a factor. Okay. So I don't know if you remember, I asked you a riddle earlier.
Yeah, that one, it's gone.
You don't know?
No, hold on. Ask me again.
Okay. So, a woman goes to a funeral, her mother's funeral,
A woman goes to her mother's funeral.
She meets the love of her life.
The love of her life.
They never met before. They forget to exchange information. Mm-hmm. And she can't find him afterward. A week later, her sister dies. How did she die?
This is just...
This is
I don't even have a good guess. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have a good guess at all.
That's good. That's good. Because this riddle is also known as a psychopath test. Do you know why now?
No.
Okay.
But I think it means that I'm not a psychopath.
They call it, you're not a psychopath.
Oh, sweet.
They call it, all negative connotations aside, they call it like a lack of empathy test, like somebody who just thinks logically. Because if you're thinking about it with like your human feelings, then it makes no sense. If you're thinking about it with just logic, she was at her mom's funeral when she met the love of her life. Mm-hmm. She forgot to get his information. How's the only way she's going to see him again? If another relative dies. So she kills her sister.
Oh my god.
So she killed her sister so that she could meet him. Right? I'm so glad I got to be here for the moment that you figured it out.
That's really good.
Thank you.
That's a really good one. Wow. I would have... I didn't even think about that. I thought for a second maybe that the man...
okay.
killed the sister, but I was like, well, that really wouldn't make sense, because why would he go to her funeral? Like, that would be suspicious.
That's a lot of the people, because I've known this for a while. I forget where I first learned it from. It's like my favorite riddle ever. But a lot of people, that's what they go to, is like, well, it's her brother-in-law. It's like, no, she just met him. Like, I think it's her brother-in-law who kills his wife in order to be with her. But it's like, no, she just met him. Yeah.
Wow.
Not too shabby, huh?
That's a really good riddle, and I'm not a psychopath, so that's cool. Unless I'm just pretending that I'm not a psychopath, and that was my thought the whole time.
Very possible.
So, I guess...
you're on a different level to where you were like, I know the
very
answer,
manipulative.
and I know he wants me to say the answer, because that's a psychopath, so I'm going to pretend like I don't know it.
Exactly.
You're on a
blend
different
in
level.
well.
Yeah.
So...
That's like some Dexter level stuff right there.
Right. I mean, that level of manipulation is like Russell's compared to the other one.
Yeah.
Way more depth on this
Russell's is your Dexter, and then Tullamore.
Russell's is a psychopath who's so aware he's a psychopath that he makes you believe he's normal.
Yes.
And the Tullamore is just a regular psychopath.
That's just your Hannibal Lecter. He got caught.
Yeah.
You know, he's
just
really
dumb.
smart, but he didn't.
This is Jeffrey Dahmer. This is Dexter.
Oh my gosh. This just got dark. This took a dark turn. All right. Well, I'm glad we established that. So both of these, I think, in your opinion, have graduated from hot water to whiskey.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's good.
I mean, I really don't mind it at all. It's actually pretty good. I would say it's fun because you're trying to identify flavors, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, definitely this one. I'm going to take another sip of both of them. But I'm going to start with the Tullamore.
Okay, all right, yeah. Side by side.
Which is good. I mean, since I haven't had a drink in a second and I'm, kind of cleanse my palate a little bit. That's good. Very good. It's sweet. Again.
Right. A lot of sweetness.
But this one's, very fruity. Much more depth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like a totally different experience.
Yeah.
They're that different.
Which is good. That's how it's supposed to be. And the Russells is almost like, because we say the Tullamore's sweet, and we say that the Russells is fruity, which fruity means sweet.
Yeah,
but it's more
sweet in
like
a different way.
A fruity barbecue. Or like when you cook a ham with like pineapple on it. Like that kind of fruity where it's not sweet fruity. It's like savory fruity in a weird way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's just so, they're just so different. Mm-hmm. And I would have never guessed that, because 42 minutes ago, I would have thought that this was just hot water.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we made progress.
I mean, you walked in, you said, I'm not looking forward to drinking this whiskey.
I was not at all.
And here we are.
Yeah.
See? Well, if we don't have anything else productive to say.
No.
Overall, Tullamore's
good.
Fun. It's like your Millennium Force. And then you got your Russells, which is your dragster. It hits hard, but you can't do it too long or you're going to get sick.
That's right. That's a pretty good analogy.
Thank you. I just came up with that literally just now.
Yeah. I left here with a new appreciation.
I do want to finish with that, man. You walked in like, I don't want to drink this whiskey.
I didn't want to do,
Justin, same thing.
Yeah.
I'm slowly coercing all of you.
It's good. Yeah, it's not bad.
So, for those of you listening whose friends don't like whiskey, clearly if you introduce them to this podcast, they're going to end up liking whiskey.
100%.
So
come do the taste test.
Now you can make all of your friends like whiskey in the same way that I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. So
the taste test, it's good.
The taste test, go with your Sprite.
Once you get scientific, Your life changes.
Explain the scientisticalness to them.
Yes.
And you'll be good to go.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Whiskey Noobs. If you like the show, make sure to help spread the word by introducing friends, coworkers, or anyone that you think would be interested. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the show on your favorite streaming platform, rate the show, review the show, and follow on Instagram at whiskey_noobs to stay up to date. If you want, you can join the email list by sending an email to whiskeynoobspodcast@gmail.com. You'll then be updated every month on what whiskeys I'll be drinking on the show, so you can drink right along with me and review it as we go. Thanks again for listening to the Whiskey Noobs Podcast. Learn to drink, drink to learn. The Whiskey Noobs Podcast does not support underage or otherwise irresponsible consumption of alcohol.